Hi everyone, my name is Banda, and in this project breakdown we will learn how to create this animated hair, along these other visual effects like the glowy aura surrounding Goku, these fast lightnings, and also create some color controllers. Alright, let's dive in. Now we are inside of After Effects and we will do a little project overview. First off, we will see this color controller I have. This will allow me to change all of the colors of the project, from the hair, the aura, and even these fast lightnings. Let's see how it works. First we will change the light tones, then the mid tones to a yellow, and the dark tones to an orange one. I also have this color controller for the front hair, so I can just eyedrop the color from the general hair. Why is it separated? This piece of hair isn't being affected by the glow, and the glow is affecting the luminance of the back hair. Let's see, for example, our hair with the glow off. You can see the color is different, therefore the color of my back hair will not be the same as the front hair. So that's why I have to manually eyedrop it after I selected all of my colors. Next we have is these shape layers that are the face drawing. Then it is the glow effect. You can see it resembles a fire. It even has some like sparkles going up. And lastly, we have this lightning layer. Anyways, let's start with animating the hair, but first, let's change the bit depth of my project. Just click here and change it to 32, since it's 8 by default. It will be a little heavier to render, but it will improve our glow greatly. Let's close this, grab this, I'm gonna show them, these shape layers that are the face, and this PNG file here that I am using as a guide. Create a new comp, and I'm gonna paste it, put the reference on top, change the opacity, press T to 15. Yeah, that is good. Let's also align these shape layers to the reference. Nice. And let's hide this for the moment. Let's just keep the shape of the face, which has a mask on it. So if you don't know how to draw a mask, just select the shape layer, go to the pen tool, and select this little icon next to the star one, and just draw. Let's erase these masks that I have to see how it works. You know it's working. Can invert it. Anyway, let's move on. Let's start by creating this shape here, teardrop shape, and with this we will be constructing all of the hair. Let's add the wave warp effect, change the settings, height to 25, width to 300, direction to 0 so it faces upwards. Now I want to show you something. You can see that the bottom is dancing from left to right. In this case I don't want that, I want the bottom to remain static. So how I fix that? I just move this shape to the bottom and change the pinning to bottom edge. Now you can see it is static. Nice. Let's rename this to hair 1. Let's duplicate it and let's change the wave height to -25 so it faces the other direction. Pre-compose each one of them. You can separate it, and now let's move the anchor points, press Y, and move this to the bottom, right at the bottom. Same for the other pre-comp. Nice. Add the CC Bendit effect to each one of them. Let's start with the hair 1. move the pin to the bottom, the end pin to the top, leaving some room to breathe, and just copy paste it to the other comp. Let's also add a fill effect so we can differentiate both shapes. This one will be yellow, copy paste a fill to the other pre-comp and change that to orange. Now I am going to put a keyframe on rotation, press R, and on scale, press S, and also on this bend option from the CC Bendit effect. This is just so I can have quick access to these properties by pressing U, because we'll be using them to manipulate the shape of this layer here. So let's start constructing the hair. Let's move the rotation, change the bend, change the scale too, and there we go. And let's move this reference to the top. Nice. Let's do it with the orange one. Let's copy these properties and paste them. Now press U, and again tweak the scale, maybe the bend, the rotation, a little bit more on the scale. There it is. Next step is just sand work. We will be duplicating these pre-comp shape layers, and I also color label them to yellow and orange, so I don't get confused while duplicating them. And all done. Now let's just move these layers behind the face layer. And let's also reduce our timeline to 1 second. Since our wave water speed is set to 1, it will loop perfectly. You can see there is a space here. Let's move this a little bit to the bottom. And now I will add another color to the pieces of the hair. Let's say to this piece, I will add a desaturated yellow. By changing the fill, now I'll copy the effect to add it to some other pieces. Like this one right here. Okay, let's also color label them to another color, peach. And let's also add it here. Change it to peach and Ctrl B to paste the fill you just copied. Now I am going to show all of my layers to see what I am missing. And here I am going to add the front hair. For that I duplicate this piece here, this light yellow piece, put it in front of the face, and let's tweak it. Good. Now I will offset the back hair layers between 1 and 2 or 3 keyframes. Let's change it manually. Now move it to the left and let's pre-compose it. Let's call it hair back. Now it's time to create the aligning effects. I just hide this shape layer for the moment by clicking here the shy bottom and right here. If you don't see this, just press F4 to toggle the options. Okay, so for the lining effect, I just created some lines on the same shape layer. Let's erase the fill and change the stroke. And on the same shape layer, I will be drawing the other lining shapes. Again. Cool. Now in another shape layer I will draw even more lines. Let's rename them lining 1 and to the other one lining 2. Let's also add a fill effect. For that we will go back to our hair back layer and let's copy, for example, this fill yellow, paste it to lining 1 and copy a fill orange and paste it on lining 2. Let's add trim paths to lining 1 layer and animate start and end options from 0 to 100 by 4 keyframes. Now offset the end keyframes by 2 and copy paste the trim path to lining 2. Now easy ease your keyframes by selecting them and pressing F9. And also let's trim the shape size. Let's press Alt plus right bracket. Now move these 3 keyframes forward to offset it. Now duplicate both, place them above and offset it by 4 keyframes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Repeat, duplicate, place it above. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Now grab all of the lining layers and pre-compose them. Place it below every layer. And now go inside a pre-comp. Let's add a new adjustment layer, right click and new adjustment layer. We will be adding some effects to this adjustment layer and it needs to be above all of the layers I want the effect on. Let's add glow. Tweak the settings to 20, 50 and the glow intensity to 0.1. Duplicate it one time, change this to 0, the threshold, the radius to 200, duplicate it again and set the glow radius to 400. Let's hide this for a moment. And let's add the turbulence displace effect to add some randomness to our shapes. Change the amount to 80 and let's also change the displacement to twist. And here is the result. To add some more pointy ends to the lines, we can add wiggle paths. For that we go to the lining 1 shape, add wiggle paths, and we will tweak the size setting, let's say to 45. And just copy paste them to the other layers. And look, we got a cooler result. But light rays are very random, so we will want to add some more randomness to it. And for that, we will have to change the stroke width and also the wiggle path size of every shape. So select all of the layers and on this box write width. And this will show all of the options that feature the word width. Now let's randomize all of the values between 1 and 6. Cool. Now let's write size on the box so it features the wiggle path size property. And let's add some random values. And now we have even more randomness, which is pretty cool. Now let's go back to our main pre-comp and let's create the glow. But first let's see our progress. It's looking really nice. So for the glow, we will grab the hair back and the lining full pre-comps and duplicate them. Ctrl D. Now pre-compose them. Let's call it glow. And we will add some effects to this pre-comp. So let's add a solid composite effect. Change the color to black. And this will help to get a smoother glow. Now add glow. Change the threshold, the radius, and the intensity to 0.1. We will use different values since this glow is bigger than the light rays. Duplicate it again, change the glow radius to 1 to 5, duplicate it again, and change the glow radius to 300. Okay, you can see it's kind of a mess, but let's add now an exposure effect. With this, we will be able to control the glow. You can see it looks really nice at this point. Next step will be to change our layers blend modes. For that, press S4 to toggle this option. Change the hair back to screen, the lining full pre-comb also to screen, and the glow will be add. And let's also add a background. For that, create a new solid, right click, new solid, and now let's add the 4-color gradient effect. Let's use some darker colors like a blue, a darker blue, some purple, also really dark, not black here, this color, and maybe a red. Okay, you can move the points here. Look, let's change this here, this sky blue here, and a little red maybe here. I don't like this one, let's change it here. That is pretty nice. You can also add a curves effect. I tweak the lightness, I'll move it a bit, pretty nice. And the last step to get the fire looking glow is just to add a radial blur effect to the glow layer. Let's add radial blur. Let's move the effect to the top, and let's change the amount to 40. The center, place it at the top, right here. And let's also scale this glow layer. Let's move the anchor point, place it at the bottom. Now click this chain icon to unlink the X and Y axis on the scale property. Let's change it to 140. That's looking really good, but the exposure it's too much. Let's tweak it. I'd say that at -9 it looks really good. Let's add some keyframes to the exposure and also to the scale. And let's link the X and Y axis of the scale again. And on the 12th frame, it will become more darker. And at the end frame, we go back to the first frame. So just copy paste the first frame. Now the scale, since at the middle it becomes darker, it will become a little shorter. So change it to 90. And the end frame will be the same as the first one, so it loops forever. That's easy. And we are finally over. Let's not forget about the color controller. For that, I will just click a new null object, place it at the top. Let's add the feed effect to it, duplicate it 4 times, and rename each one of them. One is light tones, the other one is mid tones, dark tones, and this one is for the front hair. Cool. Now press here this lock button and let's link all of the other fields we have in our project. Let's go to our hair back, select every one of them, go to the search box and write color. There we have it. Now we have to link these field colors to my main controller. For that, I will click and hold the pick wick option and drag it to my main controller, in this case to the light tones. Next is a mid-tone. Then we have an orange, which is a dark tone. Since I color labeled my light tones, mid-tones and dark tones, I can just copy and paste the field effect to the other layers, and the linked properties will be copied as well. With the mid-tones, this yellow, and same for the dark tones, copy the field and paste it. Now let's go back to the lining, and here let's repeat the same process. Go back to our main comp, lock the null layer, which is our controller, search for the color here and also here, and let's link it. Lining 2 is using orange, so it's a dark tone. Lining 1 it's yellow, so it's a mid-tone, and done. Next step, just unlock this and copy this field to all the other lining, which will be 3 and 5, and copy the lining 2 field to 4 and 6. Cool. Let's lock this one more time back in our main comp, and let's not forget about the eyebrows. Here we have both the eyebrows. Let's search for color. It already has an expression, so I hold Alt and click so I can delete it. Same here. And let's color pick this. The stroke, which is yellow, to the mid-tones. The eyebrow here, the same. Let's hide it. And lastly, our front hair, which is this one. Search for color and link to the front hair controller. Cool. Now we can change the colors to whatever we want. So let's test it. And we are done 100%. If you made it to the end, then thank you so much. This is my first video tutorial, and I want to ask you a favor. Let me know if there is something I can improve on, so I can make better tutorials for the future. Also, if you know of some cool effects in music videos, animation, movies, whatever clip amazes you, then please link it in the comment section so I can look into it and maybe create a tutorial about it. I will also leave the image I use as a reference in the video description. And until the next time.